So, what are dimensions? And what is the importance of the dimensions that we currently live in? Well, the latter of the two really depends on what state of mind you're in, what state of consciousness. But dimensions are a lot more mathematical than people think. Unless you're a really scientific mathematical mind, then it's exactly what you think. But when we talk about dimensions, 1 through however many it goes up to, God knows. But the first dimension is just a dot. It's just going from nothingness into, okay, there's something, but it doesn't have a length or a width. Then you go to second dimension, which is art, two-dimensional. It's got a length and a width, but it doesn't have a height. So when we start the ascension process dimensionally, we can lay the framework of the higher dimensions with the lower dimensions. So that's why the dimension we currently are in is so important, because we're building and laying the framework for higher dimensions. So when we get to the third dimension, we're talking about basic life, length, width, and height, objects, something that you could grab, feel, and hold. And even that, we consider ourselves to be in third dimension, but we're not really, truly, unless we're of a really basic consciousness. The majority of people are not third dimensional beings prior to contrary belief. Let me explain, because when you get to the fourth dimension, you're seeing from a fourth perspective. You're seeing from length, width, and height, but you're seeing a higher perspective. You're seeing outside of yourself. You're seeing, when you close your eyes, or even if you have good visualization skills, with your eyes open, seeing the view from the top, seeing your everyday life, but in a bird's eye view that adds another dimension. And when we talk about fifth dimension, we're talking about now you see yourself through the eyes of other people. You see that you have that same spirit and consciousness and can tap into the perspective and wisdom of your best friend, your worst enemy, people you don't even know. That's fifth dimensional. So really, when we talk about ascension, if you're truly spiritually awake, you most likely live in the fourth or fifth dimension, depending on how big or small or healthy your ego is. But in order to have a healthy higher dimensional state, in order to have a healthy foundation, you have to build up from the smaller dimensions. You have to make sure your imagery, your programming is what you want to experience in life. Because essentially, what you put into your multi-dimensional mind in the forms of images manifests as emotions, manifests as thoughts, and can even manifest as realities. So if you're constantly watching horror films, you're probably gonna feel randomly scared out of nowhere, or at least manifest that icky sort of vibe that you're putting into your mind, whether you want to or not. It's subconscious. But on that flip side, you start watching and filling your mind with beautiful imageries of the forest, or beautiful people, beautiful ocean animals. You'll begin to realize that in your third through fifth dimensional reality, you'll start experiencing those. You'll start seeing those animals in the wild or in the zoo, or even experiencing trips and visits to places you never even thought possible. You could end up in national parks or Paris or Hawaii because you filled your mind and subconsciously added that second dimensional programming into your subconscious. So when we get into the third dimension, how we build through the third dimension is strictly physical, making sure our health and our length by width by height is optimal, making sure we're feeling, thinking, and acting in a way that we want to experience. If you want to be in good shape, you start with the framework of the first dimensional conscious spark that is one dimension. Then you add the second dimensional, the words, the pictures, the affirmations of you want to be strong, healthy, fit. And then you personify that through your work. And that essentially is the third dimension, is work. And it's been a dimension that society has tried to pin us to, because work is good and work is great, and your ups and your downs and your hardships and your battles and your exercise is what makes you a higher being in the higher dimensions. But you shouldn't essentially pin yourself to that, because when you dream, you could go all the way to the 10th dimension, be in a state of consciousness and experience that you can't even describe with 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional thought. So when we go to the 4th dimension of things, we're seeing things from a higher perspective, outside our 3rd dimensional length by width self. So that's your kindness to the planet, the looking at the big picture, not complaining about first world problems like losing your freaking iPhone or stubbing your toe. You're looking at the macro, the 4 dimensions, higher thinking, and the higher good, essentially, for both yourself, but also for the planet and for your experience in the universe at large. So when we go into 5th dimensional, we go into the law of karma. So the law of karma works through 5th dimensional life. So we think that we're living in the 3rd dimension, but we're really experiencing a higher level of dimensional being than we're thinking, because 5th dimension is the 5th state that you've gone past length, width, and height, and you've gone to the 4th dimension, which is the macro or the above. And 5th dimension is being able to see yourself as that tree, as me, as your best friend, as people you may not like, most likely those in power with the control. But that 5th dimension is the karmic part of existence, that all these different dimensions exist as one, because karma is present in 3D. Karma is present in what you think as 3-dimensional living, what you think is your everyday experience, because everything you do has a reaction, whether it's on this planet, whether it's in your neighborhood, whether it's in China, whether it's in planet 796 Alpha way out in outer space somewhere. Everything you do emits an energy, and that's part of the 5th dimension, is energy, is that electricity that extends and reacts to each other on an interdimensional state. So right now, we as humans should be really considering entering into the fifth dimensional living, into the state of understanding oneness as a people, because this is really where we take steps and even leaps into the next phase of our evolution. We don't stop evolving. We didn't just pick up a stick, build a house, and go, screw it, I'm just gonna have a stick and a house and I'm good. You keep going. You keep experiencing the higher dimensions. And while many people may not be ready because of third dimensional programming to ascend to these very high dimensions of light, because light not only goes 3 dimensions, not only 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, but light permits everything. Light doesn't just come down from the sun and make a box. Doesn't just make a cube. Life and light exists from the first dimension all the way to as high as it goes. I have no idea how high it goes, but light permeates everything. It's multi-dimensional, multi-directional. You can't put a number on it. And as fifth dimensional beings, which we truly are, we look at the dimension of unity, symbiosis, being one with each other, being one with the earth, because the universe is so freaking huge that there's got to be several species of aliens looking at us and pointing fingers at us and saying, look at how stupid they are. They can't even get along with their own species. They think that they're Asian and African and white and Spanish, but they're all the same freaking people. It's the same species. You don't see sharks going in the ocean and being like, ha, that's a great white shark, those are stupid. Like, it's just a sort of dichotomy that placed in us to divide us. But we have the option to live in a higher dimensional, less sweaty work version that I'm currently experiencing from walking uphill. But our dreams, our meditations can go anywhere from the 4th dimension to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And understanding the framework and the building of things is really the essence of being a multi-dimensional being. Not just being yourself through your eyes, but being yourself through a bird's eye view and a perspective of others. Getting in that 3D work so my 5D persona can be a strong warrior of the light. Peace.